think it must have been really bad because they're not showing anything. They usually show
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah, and I got the volume low, so I can't really hear what they're talking about. So I was hoping on y'all to
Wow.
fill me in.
I'm gonna let it sit live for a couple of seconds, and then we'll go ahead and do our official start.
He didn't pass away, did he, Richie?
I don't know, man. There's an ambulance. They think he had a stroke.
Oh my god!
Shit. They said he hit at the end of the play. He got up, walked a little bit, and then just collapsed.
They have shock paddles on the field.
Holy shit!
They've been administering CPR through all the commercial breaks right now.
That's insane.
Yeah,
9
that
minutes
is
of
wild.
CPR. 9 minutes of CPR.
I saw Diggs was on the field. He was crying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. There was players crying and all that.
Yeah, I don't see how they continue this game. I don't see how they could.
Yeah, not if it's all that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
No way. All right, let me get this initial share here. All right, well, we are live on the air, and so immediately, for those of you that are also watching Monday Night Football, this is not how we usually start, but whatever is going on with the player who's injured and that whole situation, we hope for the best, and our hearts and thoughts are with you. We're trying to keep you posted if anything pops up throughout. It is the Wire Sports Podcast. We took the holidays off. Hope everybody had a good holiday weekend. And we're going to get things started on the line here right now. So don't go anywhere.
Going in, it's first and 10. I'm a legend boy, a champion. They can't match the flows, the X's and O's. I'm breaking the code, devastation about to unfold. They calling me Derek by the way y'all roll. Bet you never ever seen a pro this cold. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I mix with Iron Mike and the great Ali. I'ma run it back, believe me, baby. I fathered the game, call me Daddy Brady. I'm like that, try be like this. Sammy is so that boy don't miss. It's the return of the greatest. Any way you name it, I'm everybody's favorite. I'm bringing the pain and bringing the fire. Hey, stay tuned, it's going down to the wire.
All right. The Wire Sports Podcast back after the holidays, fellas. Did you have a good holidays? How we doing?
Yes, I did have a good holiday. Sorry, I'm a little shocked by what's going on with this game. We'll try to get back to that in a minute. It was a good holiday. I was at my neighbor's place, and we had a good time. It was a nice celebration. So it's good to get back with the Wire 2023. Excited to see what we do this year.
Yeah, all new year. Yeah, and that is crazy what's going on right as we're starting the broadcast, so we don't have any way to say much. We will try to keep you posted, like I said before. Sahi, Trey, how you guys doing? How were your holidays?
It was good. It was good. Nice and relaxed.
Great holiday. Finally got some days off.
Finally.
If nothing else, we can count on the holidays, right? Finally get a break in there. All right. Well, a lot, as you see the title of the episode, Crazy Week in Football. It is indeed and still developing as a crazy week in football. We are probably in our very last college hero of the week discussion. No, we'll have one more. We'll have one more after next week's. Actually, we may be on Wednesday next week because national championship. We'll see what's going on. But guys, a lot of games this week. The bowl games happened. The semifinals for the CFB happened. Some big games, some big scores, some breakout performances. I know there's a lot to choose from, but let's go ahead and go around the horn with our college hero of the week. Richie, just spare me if you can. But no, I'm sure we'll get into that. Whoever wants to start.
I'll start.
Shoot. Okay, go ahead.
College heroes of the week goes to those Georgia Bulldogs for pulling it out versus Ohio State. I was scared. I'll admit that. I was extremely scared. But what I did find out was that CJ Stroud is he's gonna be a boy in the league. He came out there firing.
I want to unpack
Yeah.
it a little bit because I'm sure it's on everybody's list to talk about the game. And I'm glad you brought CJ Stroud up just because Sahi this entire season has had one complaint about Stroud. This man needs to mobilize. He needs to be able to make some decisions and focus up and move around and make plays happen when everything falls apart. And he absolutely did in this game. And so, Sahi, I'd love to hear your feedback on that. And Richie, I'm interested to hear what you think because I think you predicted a massive blowout on Georgia's behalf.
I did.
Yeah.
Predicted blowout.
Yeah, what I was going to say was CJ Stroud was going to be my college hero of the week, right? Simply because he finally tuned into the wire, heard me speak about it, saw my viewpoints, and was like, he on to something. So I'm proud of CJ. He got all Ohio State fans back on his bandwagon again. Guys are talking about how great he is and how much they want him back. And all he did was use his legs, be mobile, and play to the strengths of modern football. So it was a heck of a game. Not much more he could have done. It came down to a bogus missed field goal. So hats off to CJ Stroud.
Yeah, intense look of focus throughout the entire game from beginning to end. Even in moments of celebration amongst the other team, had a real sharp look on. So I love that pick for Hero of the Week. Richie, didn't go the way that you expected it to, but had the same outcome.
No.
What are your thoughts?
Well, it had the same outcome. Here's what I'll say. I'm impressed that Ohio State played so well. Here's what I'd like to say, though. Marvin Harrison Jr. is obviously awesome, but I don't like people always like to make these arguments. Oh, well, if he was in the whole game, Ohio State would have won the game. Well, we don't know that because the whole second half would have been different. That's the only thing we do know. What we do know is he looked very impressive. That kid is going to be a star. I'd like to think CJ Stroud's going to be a star, but as we've all known with Ohio State quarterbacks, you just never know what you're going to get. So I'm not going to say anything other than he played phenomenally, and that was one of the most commanding and impressive games I've seen from an Ohio State quarterback in a game that actually matters. You know, Justin Fields had a pretty good game against Clemson, but then he stunk it up against Alabama, as we all know. So, you know, for CJ Stroud, this is fantastic for him. Obviously, he would like to win, but what I'm saying is it's going to make his stock look better, right? So if he chooses to leave and he goes out for it, then this is going to make CJ, you know, get that Ohio State albatross off his back in the draft. For Ohio State, here's what needs to be focused on. It's not, you know, we talk about the talent. I've always said their talent is only argued with Alabama in terms of drafts. Ohio State has to figure out how to play defense. I don't want to hear nothing else about it. They had the Bosa brothers, Chase Young. They always have talent on defense, but look at what ends up happening every single time. And you can sit there and talk about, oh, it's college this, it's college that. No. You should not 40-plus points against every single opponent, you know, their opponents when they play in bowl games. It happens every single time. That's why they lost. You can't sit there and blame the kicker. Oh, the kicker shanked, you know, they could have won the game on that. Okay, here's an idea. Maybe when their defense was doing so good, or they goose-egged them in the third, maybe you don't let them score 18 points at the end of the game, right? Or get a 70-yard touchdown in like 14 seconds. Maybe if you do something like that and stop that, Ohio State wouldn't have lost. So, you know, if you're an Ohio State fan, you know, you can be frustrated, go for it. But coming from like somebody tries to stay objective, including when the Bengals played in the Super Bowl, you know, what you need to focus on is the talent was there, the defense let them down, and Day needs to figure out how to use their collective weapons better. They have defensive tools. They're studs. This is a stud team. I've never said that's not the case, but their defense is terrible, and it's very obvious. Like they played in these bouts of like, great. Like look at the third quarter, 0, nothing. But then the fourth quarter, they just collapse. And that's coaching. That's not young players. This isn't the NFL, right? In the NFL, you could easily argue that, you know, that the athletes had a mental collapse and yada, 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 and they're paid to do this. Well, these are kids that are 18, 19, 20, 21. So they're children. So this is normal for them to have that stress, but it's the coach's job to get them to focus and calm down. So that's who I blame. I blame the coaching. This was an incredible game by Ohio State. I did not expect them to be this competitive against Georgia. I've always been a hater. So I'll give, congrats to Ohio State for playing a big game. It's a shame Harrison went out, but both the tight ends went out. There's a lot of things that happened this game. We don't need to unpack it all. But it was a tremendous game. I think this is an opportunity for an Ohio State fan to be like, we're just as talented as these guys in a bowl game setting. And I don't think anyone could dispute that. They could have easily won this. They play again, maybe they win next time. Obviously, that's not how this works, but it was an incredible game. I'm very pleased with not the result, but their play. This is the first time as an Ohio State hater I could be like, hey, they played, they were as good as Georgia. And they were as good as Georgia. They just happened to, at the very end, just fall short in that fourth quarter. If they could have just held it together, who knows? And who knows what we've seen? Maybe they'd be playing TCU, and maybe they could have beat TCU. But TCU, in all fairness to those guys, they're looking strong too. So I'm looking forward to the bowl game overall. But Ohio State, I just hope they'll learn this lesson to focus a little more on defense, because that's really what I'm seeing is every time you watch a bowl game, their opponents are scoring over 40 points. And when you have that kind of talent, that's unacceptable. Game in and game out anyways, against a good talent. And that's what I'm disappointed in. I loved how much they scored. I thought they're going to score 21 points. I'll tell you right now. I think I told everyone on the wire week in, week out, they're going to get doubled, right? They play Georgia. Georgia's in the 40s. They'll be in the 20s. So what caught me by surprise is the offense. The defense is exactly what I expected, and that's why it needs to change. If they can get their defense under wraps, who knows what will happen next year. They're a very talented team. If Marvin Harrison is playing again, and CJ Stroud, who knows? But I'm very happy with their performance, ironically, and I think they did a great job. And don't blame the kicker. It's not the kicker's fault, folks. He went 2 for 3. That was 50-plus yards for the win. That's a stressful situation.
On Saturday, I saw Hemo in the Sun, and I'm like, you know what? They got a call from Vegas, and they said, you cannot let ruin all of this money down on Georgia to win. It'll shut down Vegas. I know he just nailed 48 with several yards behind it right down the middle, but they'll have to understand laces out or something, have him shank it. No, I'm just kidding. That's where I was at on Saturday. I finally
check Ruggles' bank account. Let's see.
Yeah. Let's double check that. If he took a payout, that could be
right. I don't know. They probably just turned the field goal magnet on. Somebody turned it on way too strong. It was like, damn, we didn't mean for it to miss like that.
It didn't make sense. He had to have finkled it if it was a real kick. I don't know. Laces were. I couldn't tell. It did look like a duck. I
think he just got scared, guys. Truthfully, that's a stressful situation to win the game. It is what it is. It sucks that's why they lost, so to speak. But again, 18 points in the fourth is also why they lost.
Yeah. I think we'll unpack it once the football season's down and we're kind of like working our way up into the NBA playoffs. But a lot of conversation, several games on Saturday around the how do I want to put this? The protocol for A, concussion protocol, and B, what's targeting, what's not targeting, how do we call these? Obviously, the big one in that game, Marvin Harrison Jr., you had Malik Knowles in the K-State Alabama game, another hit that was not called that was very, very close to targeting. And so maybe we can unpack that and kind of give the wire standpoint on what should be the protocol, if nothing else. Richie, did you have a non-OSU Georgia hero of the week? Did you, or did we get your hero of the week in that?
Oh, we didn't get my hero of the week, but I was gonna go with Coach Day for blowing it. That's what I was gonna go with. As a hater, truthfully, as a sports fan, what I should be saying is TCU. I think that that's the story of this week over Ohio State. It's TCU. They've been under, they couldn't play physical. They didn't belong. That was the one team everyone said didn't belong. Everyone was happy with Michigan, Ohio State, and of course Georgia. But everyone was just TCU 13-1. Does it really matter? They're going to get blown out. And what they came in is played smash mouth football, and they did incredible. But I'm giving it to Coach Day because I'm the Ohio State hater. I have the right to not be objective here and focus on my narrative. So Coach Day, please fix your game plan. Your offense, at least with Marvin Harrison Jr., is fantastic. 6'4", he's so much taller than his dad. Crazy. I don't watch LSU every week in and week out, so to watch him play and just watch him dominate, that guy's gonna be crazy. I feel like that's a Jamar Chase, that's a Justin Jefferson, that's cute. Sorry, that's the kind of wide receiver you want, and Ohio State has him. They should do whatever they can. Call up their little boosters, get him a couple extra dollars. Who knows? Get him to stay. He's incredible. Wow.
It shouldn't be too hard given his legacy and his father's legacy, and the way that goes down. So hopefully that is the case. I'm gonna give mine. I'll give honorable mentions since you said TCU as a whole. I'll give honorable mentions to Max Duggan. Again, I just repeat everything I say from the K-State game. That was a close smash mouth game as well for the Big 12 championship. And I said he's got gut, he's got grit, and he's got the will to always push forward. In that K-State game, literally almost passing out in the end zone because he just didn't have anything left in the tank. It's the kind of kid he is, and I think it'll be really fun to watch him play in this game and see what he does in the future. My actual hero of the week, I'm going to give to number 22 at K-State. I know they took a beating from Alabama, but I got to give it up to Deuce Vaughn. He is understatured by quite a bit for the league. The man is a powerhouse. I think I've made him an honorable mention or a hero of the week before as well. He has announced that he's going to forego his senior season to go into the NFL. So another topic I'd like to talk about, once we're in between sports here, is what does that look like? I don't know his exact height, but I know it's under 5'6" or right at 5'6" at the best. But he's a little pack of power. He's been so successful because of his in the moment knowledge and decision making to be shifty and quick, and that explosive speed he has when he has the hole. Also has filled in as a great slot receiver. Still solid in the game against Alabama, and so I want to wish him a great draft. I know we're ways away from all of that, but I think we should unpack that as well, because I'm curious to see what a man of that size can do in the NFL, if he just gets sent over to that slot receiver position, or if they try. I mean, K-State had a hell of a time ever trying to send him up the middle just because of the sheer difference in size. I'm not saying
I'll check out, by the way, there was a professional, I can't think of his name. He might have even came from K-State, but he was 5'6", but he was like 200 pounds.
Darren
Sproles, yeah.
Sproles, that's the one.
He was one of my favorite players.
I go to K-State. So
anyways, Darren Sproles had a great career in the NFL, and he was my height, 5'6", but he was 200 pounds of muscle, and this kid sounds the same way. So he could easily do it. Side note, quick shout out also to the accountant, Stetson Bennett, in his 8th year at Georgia, however old he is.
Can he retire from the NFL now?
I think he at this point he can almost get his pension in the NFL, even though he hasn't even started a game yet. The only thing I want to give him a shout out is he didn't. Again, statistically, it looked similar to Stroud. We all know Stroud outplayed him. Nobody's arguing that. But in the fourth quarter, when he needed to start making those, he actually started making those. So I at least want to give him, the presence of mind that he played a good game. And we know he's not going to have a big starting NFL career, but at least it gave him an opportunity that somebody would at least consider him as a backup.
Absolutely. I mean, he shouldn't have to go through the draft process at this point. His career clock is ticking down. Not everybody can play to 45, Brady.
Well, and that's exactly why he'll probably get in like the 6th or 7th.
All right. Well, thank you guys for your take. Sahi, did you get in your take on CJ Stroud? He was your hero of the
Yep.
Comfortable moving on. All right, let's move into the NFL. Lots of games to talk about here. What we do here on the Wire Sports Podcast is pass, play, or one shot. Trey, if you're watching, I'm waiting for you, and we'll get you back in as soon as you pop in the lobby here. So, first game, this was Thursday on the 29th, way back in 2022. The Cowboys and the Titans. The Cowboys pulled it out 27-13. You guys want to pass, play, or one shot that one?
I mean, for me, I don't even care if we pass it at this point. This is a Titans team that's been down like 11 players. over the season, starters at some point, they had no chance.
Yeah, past that big.
All right, we're passing it to start. That's an unusual one there. We got
Right.
the Falcons and the Cardinals. They played yesterday. Falcons came out on top 20-19. Real close game. You guys want to pass, play, or one shot?
Well, we should at
Gannon
least one
stepped
shot
back.
at my boy.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
He was ready to. Well, I'm just saying this is Trey's team. I want to at least give Trey. Trey may not be here right now, but he's here in spirit. So I feel like we should at least acknowledge the win. They've had an up and down season. They started off strong, and they kind of been struggling. At the same time, I also want to give it a quick shout out because as we know, J.J. Watt is retiring. So even though this wasn't, the game that we really care about, 4-12, 6-10, it was 20-19. It was a close game. This is two teams that just couldn't click. These are two teams with one where we expected a lot, one we didn't. It kind of flip-flopped, and we're in situations where both don't really matter. They're not in the island of relevancy, as some people like to call it. Desmond Ridder got his shot, got his opportunity to play. He's not really world-beating it there, but nonetheless, congratulations to the Falcons for winning. That's my one shot.
Sahi, do you have a one shot on them?
Yeah, the Falcons, they're a team to look out for in the future. Desmond Ridder really didn't have a shot. He wasn't brought in as a starter. He was a developmental guy, first-round pick, I believe, brought in to be the guy of the future. The future came at him really fast. Like Richie said, they were I thought they were going to be this week 18. I thought it was going to be us and the Falcons playing for the NFC South. Things didn't work out that way, but they're a team to look out for in the future. The Cardinals, it's just all bad. I don't believe in Kyler Murray at all. So they got a lot to figure out over there.
Oh, and he got a torn ACL, so we won't even see him this year, 2023.
Right.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. I just got an update this is coming from Joe Daneman at Fox 19. We are being told that Damar Hamlin does have a pulse, but is currently not breathing on his own. He's being transported to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. Needed AED and CPR on the field.
That's what's up. At least there's like something there,
Yeah, at least there's a hope.
That's good news. Yeah, that's good news
for the audience.
For sure.
They've been doing CPR for 9 minutes straight.
Yeah, I was expecting a different news, so I'm like super happy to hear that. But,
and UC's got a fantastic medical facility.
They do.
Exactly.
He's in great hands, and we definitely wish him the best. And if I see anything else, we've got a shout out to my fiance Jordan, who is watching and keeping us posted on updates as well as we are.
Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah. And I'll shout out JJ. He had some pretty funny content come out this week because what you mentioned him, pretty funny retirement content. Wish him the best in retirement. Dolphins, Patriots. Watch some of this one. Patriots got this one 23-21. You guys want to pass, play, or one shot?
We can one shot it or play it.
Let's play it. I think this is something to play.
Yeah, for sure.
Have at it.
The Dolphins, right? You make all those big splashes. You have playoffs. Are they in the playoffs or no? I don't think they are anymore, right?
I think they needed that one.
I think they're in the wild card still. I
yeah,
think in their hunt. I don't think they don't have it anymore, to your point.
Yeah.
But I think they still possibly can stay in the wild card, but they don't have it at the moment. Let me check the standings. I don't believe they do anymore.
Because that's a major flop, right? You bring in all this talent, you spend all this money, and you let it go against the struggling Patriots. I mean, the Patriots, they came in with the same record, but the Patriots, we didn't have any kind of expectations on them. You get Tyreek Hill, you got at least playoff expectations because he's one of the most electric players in the league. But they were down to their third string quarterback, so we can't act like it's a total failure. So I guess I'm being a little bit too hard on them. I guess I just realized that. Damn, I seem horrible now.
Okay, so it's not over. Just interject. If New England loses and Miami wins next week, then Miami goes. If New England basically if New England does the same thing as Miami though, then New England goes in. So it depends on next week. But this was the tiebreaker for next week, so it did matter. This game absolutely did matter. But they can still make it.
Yeah, so they got to win, and then New Jersey has to lose. I mean, New England.
And New England have to lose. Yes,
New Jersey.
That's the only way that whole amalgamation will happen. The Dolphins are playing the Jets, and let's see here. New England is playing the Bills. So between the two, I mean, still the Dolphins have the better chance, quite frankly, because New England's got to beat the Buffalo Bills. I think that's a much taller order than the Jets, who started off strong but had some injuries, quarterback controversy, and now officially are out of the playoffs. From my perspective, though, it doesn't really matter. Miami has no shot. Tua has had 3 concussions this season, and it's very unfortunate for that young man. And we'll have to see how things are going to go for them. You know, this was definitely, I agree with Sahi, though. Miami kind of pooped the bed here, to be PG. They definitely had the opportunities. They have the players. They have 2 absolutely stalwart wide receivers. Yeah. And this was a team that we had much higher expectation. I believe they're 5-1 to start the season, and now they're 8-8 and where they're at. New England also was a team that, you know, we weren't giving them too much of a shot, but they were 4-2, 5-2, and then they started looking like, hey, they're gonna possibly, you know, do some things. And they played Cincinnati a couple weeks ago, close. But they're 8-8, and yeah, right now they're meandering into the playoffs. But I don't think any one of these teams, whoever makes it between the two for next week, is going to be a playoff like world breaker. I think they're one and done regardless of the team. I think we can all agree on that. And I think the only thing I have a question mark is Mac Jones. You know, it seems like Belichick is not a big fan of Mac Jones. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes and how that plays off. But I think either way, is fire Matt Patricia. They need a new offensive coordinator. This New England team, that's the biggest problem right now. They have a solid defense, and I don't know what to tell you about their offense. You know, they got a pretty Stevenson's a good running back. I think he's going to be great. But you know, if they're not going to follow in on Mac, then are they going to look again, or what's their plan? So that's my perspective of this. But you know, congratulations to New England for squeezing this one out. You know, Miami. Let's just hope Tua is going to be healthy. Some people are saying he should never play again, at least, you know, like brain specialists. So we'll have to see how that goes for them. And maybe this is where they'll have to get another quarterback just in case.
Perhaps indeed. And then, you know, Bridgewater out, Skylar Thompson, the K-State grad stepping up, did look pretty sharp. He's got a lot of learning to do. We've talked about that. We just got a comment. Let me get it in here. Brian Lee says Miami needs to medically retire Tua. That dude's one more injury from being permanently screwed later in life. To Richie's point.
Yeah, 3 concussions in one season, Brian. I mean, you're not wrong there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for your takes on that one. Moving on over, the Saints putting away the Eagles 20-10. Do you guys want to pass, play, or one-shot this one?
You got to play this one.
I agree.
Saints pop at the Eagles. Come on.
The red rifle.
Yeah. I'm going to say this one. You started off.
Yeah, I'll start this one off. Let you do your thing, Sahi. You know, obviously this is a game without Jalen Hurts. Let's at least start it from that position. Having said that, congratulations, New Orleans Saints. This caught me off guard. New Orleans did a fairly good job of containing the number one rushing offense. Yes, Jalen was a huge part of that. But Miles Sanders, he didn't get that many carries. I think he only had like 10. But they absolutely held Miles, and he was still doing good. I think it was like 5 yards a carry. But the point being is the Saints clamped what they needed to clamp. They let Gardner Minshew throw, which he threw for quite a bit. I think it was almost 300 yards. Maybe Sahi or someone will check the exact stats there. So they basically dared the Eagles to throw it, and the Eagles weren't successful without Jalen. Now, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith still had a lot of yards here. I think statistically, if you look at this, it looks like Philadelphia went up and down the field. But the bottom line is you know, you had your interceptions and you had the 2 fumbles from Gardner Minshew. So, you're talking 3 turnovers from that backup quarterback. And you aren't winning many games when you turn the ball over 3 times. And that's really what the story of this game was. But, I'll say this for the Saints, it still caught me off guard. All I can say is I'm happy they're finally using Taysom Hill to run the ball. Because you're paying this guy like $20 million. You got to do something. Okay, Justo got the exact stats. It was 18 for 32, 274 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So if you look at that, and it's not the highest completion percentage, but again, we're not factoring in the 2 fumbles. We're not factoring in this boy coughing that ball up, and that's the story of this game: is the turnovers, Minshew not being Jalen Hurts, not being able to run, and coughing this ball up, and that's the story. But hey, congratulations to the Saints. You play who you play. It's not their fault Jalen will sit out, and they did a great job winning this game.
The Saints didn't impress me at all. It just kind of proves what I've been kind of thinking all along. I don't know if I've said this out loud at all, but I just don't believe in the Philadelphia Eagles.
You
But
said it.
but congratulations, Jalen Hurts. You get the MVP, right? You go out, your team gets beat like this to the lowly New Orleans Saints. A good team that's really going to get it together and get there isn't going to lose this game with Gardner Minshew playing the way that he played. He outplayed Andy Dalton. His rating was 82. Actually, I mean, he threw the touchdown. He's got I feel like he played a little bit better, even though Andy Dalton's quarterback rating was 4 points higher. Okay. But still, at the end of the day, you can't lose this game. The Eagles just aren't a team that's going to get it done, in my opinion, unless they have Jalen Hurts in there. And as we see, he's already injury prone. So they got a lot to figure out. I don't like this loss. They didn't score until the 3rd quarter. So this is ugly. You got a team that's struggling in the lowly NFC South, coming in to the top dog of the NFC and shutting you out the whole first half, and beating you 20-10. You just can't allow that to happen. The Eagles will grow from this, but it's just not their year. I could go on into why their record is so good, but we don't have all that kind of time. But all the Saints did was help out like teams like the 49ers, the Cowboys, maybe attain that number 1 seed. I don't know who the Eagles are playing next week, but they've got to get it done that week. Is Jalen Hurts going to play? Is there any news on that?
I'm not sure. They haven't really announced anything about that.
Yeah,
But if you don't, it's going to be the Niners, having the number 1 seed if they don't play him.
Yeah, and that's a huge deal. That's the number 1 seed gets the bye.
Niners are playing the Cardinals, by the way, so they're winning.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Brock Purdy's still out there. The Cardinals are a better team. I mean, the Panthers are a better team than people think. You said they're playing the Panthers or the Cardinals?
The Cardinals.
Oh, man.
The Niners are playing the Cardinals, my friend. There's no way on any earth the Cardinals are beating the 49ers. It's just not happening.
Not happening.
I mean, that is like Vegas odds could give 21-point swing for the Cards, and I would still bet on the Niners. Like, there's no way. No, the Carolina, I agree with you. That could easily be an upset, but no way, not the Cards.
All right. Moving on along. We are moving over to the Giants and the Colts. Giants got this win 38-10. Judging by Richie's reaction, I think we might get a pass from Richie. I don't know, pass play or
please, for the love of God, let's pass this awful.
I got one shot though.
Okay, fine. Do one shot. I'll do one shot.
Fire Jeff by Saturday.
Okay.
Hashtag fire Jeff by Saturday. Make it happen.
Mine's not that cute. Here's my one shot. If you're the Colts offensive line, it was very disrespectful to not help Foles. after that sack. If you don't know what I'm referring to, he got plastered on a sack, and he was in pain, just laying there. And the lineman just sat there and let him just writhe in pain. So, that's classless by your own teammates. I know we had this whole situation with Russ and the offensive line, but Nick Foles is your backup. He's coming into play. He's done nothing to deserve that, where your own teammates are just ignoring you while you're in pain. And he was in pain, people. It was very disappointing. So that's my one shot. Like, terrible. This is why the Colts have lost the season, right? They have no leadership. They bring in a former center that has no coaching experience on any level to just magically come be an NFL coach, and this is a result of that. No discipline. So disappointing.
They really thought Matt Ryan was going to be a guy. Come on.
They really did.
I did too. I kind of believed it too.
He said I did too. All right, Buccaneers came out on top, 30-24 over the Panthers. Do we want some pass? Okay,
we gotta play it. We gotta play it.
Gotta play it. I'll start this one off.
Folks at home, start with the Bills and Bengals, but let us know what you think in the comments, because we're going to be running tight on time this week, and we want to throw a couple games at you.
Well, Bills and Bengals is suspended, by the way.
Is it suspended? Okay.
Yeah.
End of the game.
You guys get the Steelers Ravens then in the comment section, and we'll weigh in on it if we can get to it. All right, go ahead. We got the Buccaneers Panthers game, 30-24 Bucks.
The Buccaneers started off slow, got down by 14. I'm watching the game. It's like, oh, man, everything we want for the season is right there, and these boys aren't coming out to play. And I'm sitting here saying, people are watching the game, and I'm like, yo, all they have to do is they don't have to go hurry up offense. All they have to do is go no huddle offense. And every time they win a no huddle offense and they're getting the playoff, guys getting it to the ref, they're going to the line, Brady's doing his signals like that, they are unstoppable. 2 plays of that, and then he was heaving it deep to Mike Evans for 3 times. That's how Mike Evans got his yards. With Dan Orlovsky said, I watched in the clip, he says the Buccaneers have to play in a specific way. It's not about the way they want to play. Their offense is geared to play a specific way. And I believe that is no huddle offense. Every time they huddle up and sub, teams get a beat on them. And they did that this game, and they looked incredible. Sam Darnold, just interception, fumble, not looking in the second half, complete fall apart. I'm just like, what is going on? It all worked to my enjoyment, being a big Buccaneers fan that I am. But it's a division win for the Buccaneers. It's hard to be excited for it after this season, but we're in the Bucs are in the playoffs, so that's about as good as you can have it.
You gotta be. Oh, Brian Lee has an interesting thought. Mike Evans will be a Patriot next year. If you're Tampa Bay, that'll never happen. If you're Tampa Bay, but here's what I gotta say: Tom Brady, like this whole season, Sahi and Trey have been very honest about how Tom Brady is playing. And I said it don't matter, and I'm not magically saying they're gonna win the Super Bowl, but the point is they made the playoffs, and there's still hope in what Sahi said. When these guys know huddle, and Tom Brady can really pick apart a defense and not like show, and quite frankly, not have the Byron Leftwich screens and run on first down, all that dumb stuff that they normally do, this team can be scary. Now, I still think, objectively, they're not running the ball well. I think that's the big problem, because they're not running on like effective downs. It's just like first downs and here you go, and like random screens. But I forgot the corner's name. I felt bad for that dude, man. Tom Brady and Mike Evans were just picking on that fool, man. Oh, that was brutal to watch. And I was happy to see. I was happy to see Tom Brady and Mike Evans finally be in sync, because this whole season, Mike Evans is such an interesting wide receiver to me. What is this? His 7th straight year, I think, Sahi? Was it 7 straight with 1,000? 9. Excuse me, I apologize. 9. 9 straight with 1,000, right? Like outside of Jerry Rice, which again, he hasn't done this, but my point being, outside of Jerry Rice, you don't hear somebody have like a record. So, he's still going strong on this record. Now, there's been a couple years where he barely made that 1,000, but the point is he still made it. So, so just watching this season and watching him underperform, in my opinion, with Tom. It's been weird, but this was a breakout game, and what a time to do it! What a time to see them kind of connect! What a time to see this offense click! And again, what did they have to do? Score 20 in the fourth? I mean, it's not like they like this is still like this is a comeback, and this is like not a historic comeback like one of the previous ones they did, but this was one of those like, good grief, they had a fire on all cylinders, and Tom Brady was firing on cylinders. They still barely won. So I'm not saying the Bucs are just gonna blow through the playoffs, but if they play in the no huddle and they let Tom Brady cook and and Mike, because Godwin is always that chains guy. Like I think people don't really understand. Like Godwin's more of that, like he's gonna move the chains, and Evans is really blows the top off, and that's what makes him such a complimentary like pair. And that's why I love watching this offense win it. Well, at least last year. This year it's been painful, but this game was super fun to watch. And at least it gave me. You can see I'm a little energetic. I really want to see them play like this in the playoffs. I love to watch them spoil a game, or who knows, maybe they start clicking. They go like, what is it, the Greatest Show on Turf, and they go full time no huddle on offense, and they say, sorry, Leftwich, like we got to let Tom do his thing, and we need to. This is the only thing that's working. This traditional like huddling has not gone well at all for Tampa, and they need to 2-minute offense at all times. If they do that 2-minute style, these guys are dangerous. That's the only time these guys play well, is like that 2-minute drill. And that's what I want to, hopefully that's what we'll see next week. They'll start implementing it a little more. Or maybe they save it for the playoffs and just, bam, trick you. But this was a crazy game. It was
this
crazy.
Is the last thing I'll say. Watching the Bucs this year, after all my years of watching Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, I finally know what it feels like to be one of the Z fighters in the background watching Goku go out for a fight. Like, we got the baddest motherfucker here. He about to come destroy y'all. And then you sit down and watch the fight, and this dude ain't went Super Saiyan yet. He just fighting regular, getting his ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? Just testing his strength, getting his ass whooped. Like, go Ultra Instinct, bruh, right now from the start. You know what? Pull up to the fight with the Spirit Bomb. Don't even waste no time. You know what I'm saying? I always think the Bucs are dead. Then they rise up and Tom Brady come in with the Spirit Bomb. Last few minutes of the game, he been collecting the crowd's energy. Man, this is wild stuff, bro.
Hey, that analogy tracks. I don't know if you remember, Sahi, but it took about 5 or 6 full episodes to charge the damn Spirit Bomb
right.
to begin with. So this whole season, Tom Brady's been in the locker room.
This time on Dragon Ball Z.
No, man, I'm with you. He's like the Undertaker in wrestling, It's like 2-3 quarters and just pull straight up and like, he's gonna
win. Man.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Dragon Ball Z found a way onto the Wire Sports
podcast.
And it made sense too.
Started. Yeah, and we got Undertaker in here. Oh, I'm happy. I'm a happy man. We gave the comment section Pittsburgh. Brian Lee says Kenny Two Gloves might be the guy for Pittsburgh, man.
Ooh.
Might be that guy. Yeah. Kenny Two Gloves.
Yeah, I believe it.
Absolutely. All right.
He's got that fire.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Thank you, Brian. We're going to give the comments Rams and Chargers. Chargers were 31-10 over the Rams. So let us know what you think about that game in the comments below. And we will be moving over to a game that I don't know if anybody would have thought would have been this close. The Chiefs and the Broncos wound up 27-24. You guys want a pass play or one shot? The Chiefs barely getting by at the end of the game.
We can one-shot it.
Yeah, definitely one shot.
I'll do a quick one-shot. So here's my take. Last week, Russell Wilson was looking like Russ. And then this last game, he was starting to look like Russ a little bit. He's got a long way to go. I'm not saying, he's there. And it's not even like their offense was doing that great. But here's what I'm going to say. If you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, this isn't an alarm. This is just the Kansas City Chiefs. This is how I feel. If they don't just take off and just start like scoring, like clicking on offense, they struggle. That's who they are. Like it's who they've been. Is they're front runners, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying that they usually fire off on all cylinders, score 21 in the first half, and then it's freaking over. Now, 2018, that was different. It was Patrick Mahomes coming back every single time. But now, traditionally, they're in the lead. And when they're not in the lead, they tend to struggle. And we saw that with Cincinnati, and we've seen that many times, quite frankly, where either they couldn't catch up or they had such a handsome lead, they start playing conservatively and stop playing the Chiefs' way, and then they just lose. And this was one of those games where, they didn't blow them out, and, Russ was taking some hits. Honestly, Russ would take a lot of hits this season. But Russ was taking some hits, and, Patrick was also not playing well. I never thought I'd see the day with this season where Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, the QBRs are still far apart, but they'd be even in the same stratosphere. And that's more of a credit to Russell at this point. Not saying anything bad about Patrick, but, the Chiefs won this game. It was an important win, quite frankly, because obviously, the implications of Buffalo and Cincinnati, and now we're still unsure due to this suspension of game. It was too early to say Cincinnati was going to win. They're up 7-3. The point being is those are the other two, with the Bills having the number one spot. They needed this win. So it's important they got this win. But if you're Kansas City, I'll say this. This shouldn't be this close, right? I think we can all agree on that. It shouldn't be this close. Denver, it has some fight in them. This was what we like to call a trap game, right, in football. And that's what this was. It was completely a trap game. But Patrick's got to clean it up. He was not very efficient. He was not very Patrick Mahomes-like. I think he had like a 68% completion rate. It wasn't, to me, I expect Patrick Mahomes to be throwing 70, 75, And this was one of those Tom Brady games a couple weeks ago. Not Tom Brady yesterday. But, this is like Tom Brady a month ago where he was throwing almost 50 times at 58, 60% completion. I don't remember Patrick's numbers off the top of my head. I just remember it wasn't that clean. And that's what I'm going to say is this wasn't a clean one, but it's still a win. If you're a Chiefs fan, you just want them to start cleaning up their play calling, make better, calls, because I think that was the problem here is you didn't have a lot of good conversion. And I think that's what this is going to come down to is Kansas, we're in the home stretch. We're about to watch the funnest time in sports, which is the NFL playoffs. And if you're Kansas City, at least Buffalo's kind of been on and off. But, you've lost to Cincinnati, what, 3 times now? 2 times? 3 times now. So you can't be playing like this. Like, they need to get their butt together. And hopefully next week they will. I don't know who they play off. Justin will probably mention it. But whatever this last game is, they need to tune and refine this up because they should have 42 points. This is a Denver team that, don't get me wrong, great defense. But when their quarterback is not playing great and the running game is non-existent, it shouldn't have been this close.
Yeah, not an easy feat next week as they go to play the Raiders. So they've got to definitely be nice and tight for that game. Sahi.
Depends. They're very up and down.
Yeah,
right.
Roller coaster. Las Vegas roller coaster.
All I'll say is this is what the Chiefs do, right? They play down to their competition a little bit from time to time. And the fourth quarter comes around, they're like, oh shoot, we're down. Fing, 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 fing. Andy Reid bites the cheeseburger and they figure it out. And the Broncos, we all know the Broncos are bad. The teacher leaves, the substitute comes in and the baddest kid in class shows his ass a little bit. So that's what Russell Wilson was doing. He was out there ripping and running, throwing the ball a little bit, looking pretty good. He was the substitute, the interim coach, they had to let him cook, so he was cooking a little bit, but it's not going to be enough to beat the Chiefs. So Broncos aren't going nowhere. They know they're not. So they didn't have anything to fight for in the end, for real. They didn't even think they were going to win this game.
Right, which is why I think they did lose, like you said. They had no confidence they were going to win. This didn't mean anything to them. Right. And they still almost won the game. That's why I'm like, yeah, come on. Kansas City needs to step it up a little.
Absolutely. I think there's a couple things you can count on being a bad decision in the NFL, and there's lots of them, but you don't want Tom Brady to have the game in his hands with a minute or more left in the game. And you don't want Travis Kelce to have an opportunity with a minute or more left in the game because that was a big man. Travis Kelce?
Get out of here.
He's your guy.
He is my guy. Somebody drafted him. I'm just like, you know what? Forget him. All I know is he gives me nightmares when we play them. Probably, I'm gonna be very annoyed because that dude always tears us up for like 150 yards. Like he's my favorite guy, except when I'm playing against him. So that's why now I don't want to talk about it. We don't have anything nice to say about that guy.
Absolutely. just point it out there. You know, if you don't want to, what did Dana White say? Don't let it go to the Cards. Given Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce a minute or more is going.
Yes, a terrible mistake.
Yeah. The comment section, Brian says the Chargers way too inconsistent. Something has got to change before next year. I'm
gonna go with Trey here. Trey would say, my guy, they've been missing their starting offensive weapons all season, and they've only had 2 games where both their starting wide receivers played together. And what are they, 8-8? So that will be Trey's response. I understand where you're coming from, Brian, from my perspective, but I would lean in with Trey on this one. You know, when you're missing your weapons, you know, Justin Herbert is about to throw for 5,000 yards, and not one wide receiver got 1,000 yards on his team because he had to play with all this randomness. You know, that would be my counter to what you're saying. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think the inconsistency has to be forgiven because you're just throwing parts in and they're still trying to find ways to make it work. They're starting to get healthy, which is why they could be a scary spoiler type team, in my opinion, come these playoffs, because I think these boys are getting in. I think they're winning next week, and they're looking like what we were scared of at the beginning of the year. I think this is going to be a very, very tough team, and if next year they don't have injuries, maybe this is a 12-5 or 13-4 type team. They went 8-8 when again they were missing their wide receiver Keenan Allen for I think like 5 or 6 games. Who's arguably easily top 10 wide receiver. So I'll give him a little slack.
Absolutely. All right, we got enough time for one more for you guys and one more for the comments. So comments, you've got Packers, Vikings. Packers got a massive win, 41-17. We will chime in with you there in the comments. And then, guys, we'll go through till you find one you want to play to finish us off here. We've got the Bears-Lions. The Lions put the beating down 41-10. You want to pass or play that one?
Yeah. Pass.
Big one coming up this weekend for them. We'll talk about that next week for sure.
Oh, yes, we will. That's going to be a game. That is the Lions and the Packers. That is a game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait. The Browns got their win over the Commanders 24-10. You guys want to pass or play that one?
We could at least one shot it.
Okay, let's one shot it.
Okay, let's hit a micro shot, and then we'll have enough time to one shot one more.
All right. What was I going to say? Their coach didn't even know they were eliminated by losing that game. So that's all I'm going to say. The Browns, they just sugar honey iced tea, everybody's dreams that are down close to the bottom with them. They just grab you and pull you back down. Say you're not going anywhere because we not. So that was funny. I predicted that one.
I'll say this: Deshaun Watson, 3 touchdowns, 5 sacks. It was one of those up and down games, 50% completion rate. So it's one of those like he had a good game, but it was kind of an ugly game for Cleveland.
Absolutely. If anything crazy happens over here, we're getting this massive storm, and I just heard it. I'm hearing thunder. Now I'm hearing dripping. I'm just getting scared. I'm sitting in a room full of electricity right now. So, okay. Jags and Texans. Jaguars blew it out 31-3. You guys want that to be your pass or play?
I mean, is this really where it's going? I'm going to say pass. This is a Davis Mills quarterback team. This is the worst.
At least one shot it though. To shout out the Jacksonville Jaguars and Doug Peterson for getting this team that was the bottom of the league to the playoffs. Amazing. Yep. Coach of the year.
Okay. Fair enough. Ooh, coach of the year. You know what? I'm going to drop on that. That's my one shot too. Coach of the year. Coach of the year. This was a team that had Urban Meyer as the coach. This was a team that Trevor Lawrence in the Sports Illustrated Journal said, my confidence was shot. And I didn't know if I was going to be a starting quarterback again. So you know what? You're right. Doug Peterson completely changed it. Trevor Lawrence is looking like the guy people thought he was now. And this is a team that is in the playoffs that was the worst team in the league last year. You know what? You're right.
Doug Peterson wasn't in any college bars sticking his fingers up somewhere they don't belong. So just off that alone.
You know.
Brian Lee commenting on the Packers-Vikings win. I just want to see what's going on with Green Bay in the offseason when it comes to QB. What do you guys think?
Aaron Rodgers all day.
Aaron Rodgers, I love him. Here's why I love him. He makes Green Bay hate their life. Constantly they want to get rid of this guy, right? They hate this guy because he's annoying, he's kind of arrogant, and he talks that talk, and he does what he wants to do, and basically gives them the middle finger. And then there's always this big rift, and then they got rid of Mike McCarthy, and they're like, okay. And then he was mad because the new coach is like, all right, we're just going to hand the ball off to Aaron Jones, and we're going to be a running team. And so then after that, he's like, no, I'm going to throw the ball, or I'm going to retire right now. So they're like, all right, Jordan Love ain't ready. He goes back-to-back MVPs. This year, they look like ass because they trade Devontae. And now the wide receivers are starting to figure it out. And here they are, 8-8 again, about to go into the playoff. He can do whatever he wants. He's another one, just like Tom Brady and The Undertaker, man. You think he's out, and he just sits right back up. Ugh. Nah, I'm Aaron Rodgers. I do what I want, Green Bay. You ain't getting rid of me until I'm ready to go. They were, at the beginning of the season, they were so excited. They're like, finally, he's going to give up. This team's done. These wide receivers suck. And he'll finally retire, and we can try to move on with Jordan Love. And then he's like, nah, fam. I'm Aaron Rodgers.
Not going
it
down.
Doesn't matter. I'm not going down until I'm ready to go down. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, we could ask those questions, though, next week if Aaron Rodgers goes out and stinks it up against the Lions. Like he's doing what Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp accuse him of doing if he's in the locker room huffing ayahuasca and, you know what I'm saying, rolling joints, then we got a problem. But I don't think we are. Aaron Rodgers is that dude. And he will remain to be that dude. So we'll see.
Guys, we got one more from Brian, and then I got breaking news. We're gonna stop there.
Okay, Brian, then breaking.
Yeah, Brian says Green Bay will have a first-round playoff loss. Calling it right now, live on the air. We get to say that.
Well, Brian, that's twofold. We got to unfold it. One, that means they're beating Detroit next week, according to Brian, and then two, they're losing the first game. Okay. All right, Brian.
I like it.
I say nothing else. We'll let you have your thing.
I haven't got to say this since 2011. This just in. This is a tweet from one Skip Bayless of ESPN fame, I do believe. And I quote, "No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game. But how? This is late in the season. A game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant."
I mean, he's right.
Yeah.
Right. Where do you go from here? You can't force these teams who are going to have to play in the playoffs to play on a shortened week. In my opinion, what you do is you call it a tie. I mean, it sucks for Cincinnati. It sucks for Buffalo. But you can't have one lose and one win. And, you just have to move on with life. If you're Cincinnati, you deal with it. Because as Cincinnati, they're the ones who lose in that sense, because technically if they beat Buffalo, then they'd be the number one seed. Having said that, though, I think there's no other answer. It needs to be a tie. It'd be disgusting to force them to play, particularly for the Buffalo team, who's very emotionally charged right now. It's very sad. We hope this guy pulls through and hope we'll have good news. But it's got to be a tie. But Skip is right. This is a very awkward situation for the NFL.
Right.
He's taking a lot of heat right now there on Twitter, but that's what we wear in this job of broadcasting football. So, all right. Anything else, guys, on this week? If you have a one shot or one take that you want to take away from football this week?
Nah, baby, we're just ready for some more football on my end. Let's
Absolutely.
go.
NFC champs, baby. NFC South.
Ooh.
NFC South champ. I meant South. NFC South champ.
They're gonna beat the Niners. But if anyone can do it, it's Tom Brady. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy. If you face to face with Tom Brady, let's see if he's still got those cojones.
Yeah. Tom Brady is another one that's another thing you can count on if he's in the playoff picture.
I'm just saying. We talked about him being Goku, but he might be Cell in that scenario where Brock Purdy just know he better and he just gives up. That's all I'm gonna say. Another
shout out to my beautiful fiance Jordan, live from Twitter, giving us the updates throughout. We thank you very much, keeping us updated on everything going over there in Cincinnati.
Thank you.
Well, I have some exciting news to close us out. We are looking at a this week launch for h2gradio.com. Domain is purchased. We're in the final stages of design, putting the final beautiful little pieces on, even have projects set up to be added to the website going forward. So get ready for a shift in the home. You'll now be able to find everything that you need to be involved with H2G Radio, to listen to all the amazing shows here, such as the Wire Sports Podcast now on Mondays. We've got True Crime for the Innocent Mind. Don't forget about Free Mess on freaking Fridays. Oh my gosh, Free Fridays. And some more shows coming soon. And if you want to get involved, you can now go and send us an email. I'm going to add this to the link tree, contact@h2gradio.com. You can be involved in any capacity that you'd like. If you've always wanted to host a podcast, you want to get involved with one of our current shows, you enjoy post-production, editing, sound creation, acting, anything performing arts, that's what we do here. We are a home or a hub for creativity and for telling the truth. And I know a lot of us here at H2G Radio want some more shows. I know there's been talk about a desire for a music podcast, a desire to get back to some of our roots and talk about the deep, important issues the H2G podcast covered over 8 seasons. So if you want to get involved, contact at h2gradio.com. We'll be in touch, and keep an eye out. We're looking at a January 4th launch for h2gradio.com. The estimated deadline is actually going to be the 6th. But you should see it as soon as the 4th. So keep an eye out for h2gradio.com.
Let's go.
I think I've already mixed all the plugs in there, but don't miss Free Mess on Friday. When you wake up, you've got an amazing show to listen to. So go and find that. For those that have told me this week they're having a hard time finding our shows, if you're looking for the first time on your audio podcast channels, the best place to find us, Spotify. Apple Music is hit and miss at this point. I don't know what's going on with that, but we're in there, but we don't always show up on time. Quotes, that's the way to get to us. Put the quotes around the title. Just type in quote Free Mess on Fridays. You'll be able to pull it up. Same goes for The Wire and True Crime for the Innocent Mind. We got a new season coming. We are in 2023. We are growing. We're doing big things. This is H2G Radio. Thank you guys so much. This is the Wire Sports Podcast. We're going to play that beautiful song by Sahi to close us out here. And we'll see you next Monday. Well, maybe Monday. Keep an eye on the Facebook page. We got a big game going on. We'll see if we maybe can live cover it or something. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
All right, guys. Stay safe and have a good week.
Peace out.
I'm going in, it's 1st and 10. I'm a legend boy, a champion. They can't match the flows, the X's and O's. I'm breaking the code, devastation about to unfold. They calling me Derek by the way y'all roll. Bet you never ever seen a pro this cold. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I mix with Iron Mike and the great Ali. I'ma run it back, believe me, baby. I fathered the game, call me Daddy Brady. I'm like that, try be like this. Sammy Sosa, that boy don't miss. It's the return of the greatest. Any way you name it, I'm everybody's favorite. I'm bringing the pain and bringing the fire. Hey, stay tuned, it's going down to the wire.